For Picasso, what was very important was the environment in which he worked. He was actually a workaholic. He would work 12, 15 hours a day, but he had to have a studio in which to do it. And what he liked was mess, disorder, chaos, confusion. Everything was everywhere, piled on top of each other, in no apparent order, in paper bags. There were old bits of rubbish everywhere. There were letters which he'd had for 20 years ago. Everything was stacked up with no apparent order. And then what would he do? He'd move to a different room. And then he'd do the same there. And he'd move to another room and do the same there. And then he'd buy a castle. And he'd fill his castle up with things. And he'd do the same there. And he'd get fed up with that. And he'd move to a big house in the south of France. And he'd do the same there. Chaos, confusion. But what did it do? It gave him creativity. It was the environment which he needed in order to do his work in the way which he wanted to do his work. And I guess all of us need a specific environment in which we can thrive. This was the sort of environment which Picasso loved and craved. This is why he had junk and rubbish everywhere, and yet he produced masterpieces because of it all.